Hi, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from MasonWorks Marketing Today on Conscious Business Zone with Brian Luke Seaward, who I call Luke. So if I goof and call him Luke during this, you'll know who I'm talking about. Hi, Luke. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
Great. Well, I have had the pleasure of being a good friend of Luke's for years. And I am a huge fan and want to share his work with you because he is an expert on stress management and has created some of the most beautiful things that you can use in your life that'll really change how you work with this new energy and consciousness. So, Luke, can you, I can show some of the stuff, but this is one of the things that hopefully you can talk about.
Sure. Yeah.
But so, Luke, how did you start on all of this? How did you get started? You were doing nutrition, you were teaching nutrition, I think.
Well, I have a background in health psychology, have a PhD in health psychology.
Uh-huh.
I teach stress management at the college level for 30 some years.
Yeah.
I left DC to come out to Colorado, come back home to Colorado, and I knocked on the door at the University of Colorado, seeing if I could teach a class there. And this woman called me up a year later, and she said, first she said, "We have nothing for you." And then a year later, she said, "We have this one course in nutrition." And, you know, when people see the word health, as in health psychology, they think that I can do sex ed, driver's ed, nutrition, everything. So she said, "We have this class in nutrition for you. Do you want to teach it?" And I thought, well, I get my foot in the door. Sure. I said, "Yeah, sure." Someone had gone on sabbatical and was going to just be gone for a semester. And I thought, first semester, I can do anything. She never came back. I taught that class for 12 years. And
oh, wow.
the joke is that, you know, that class went longer than most Broadway musicals. I had guest speakers almost every night. It was phenomenal. People brought their roommates, their girlfriends, their boyfriends, their parents. I still get emails from people saying that was the best class.
Oh, well, I know some of the people that were interviewed. I remember that. Well, how did you get into photography and sorry, there's an ambulance going by. How the stress management work? This is called Earth Songs, and this is Earth Songs 1, and you're about to do. Is Earth Songs 2 ready now?
Tomorrow. It gets launched
tomorrow. How cool!
Yeah.
And we're talking about it here. You're hearing it first here.
Well, to answer your question, I taught stress management at the University of Maryland when I was going to graduate school. And in the summertime, I would go up to Vermont. And I went hiking and camping one time, I think in the Adirondack State Park, which is, you know, across the Lake Champlain. And some guy did this incredible slideshow outside at sunset went down with incredible speakers out in the woods. It was unbelievable. And I thought, wow, this is so relaxing to be in nature and to see other scenes of nature. It was unbelievable. So I thought I want to recreate that for my class. So I went out and bought a camera, took some photography lessons, and that kind of began the whole process. But then I realized that a lot of people who have cancer are very, very stressed. And so I tried, Earth Songs 1 was actually made for cancer patients. I then got a video camera and thought I could try and do a movie, kind of like I was very inspired by Planet Earth, BBC's Planet Earth. So I went out and bought a video camera and went out to some of the prettiest places on the planet that I could afford to go to. I also got the great fortune to have the actor Michael York do the narration. I wrote the screenplay, and I hooked up with him, and he said, "Yeah, I'll do the narration for you." Got some incredible music as background music. The score is just to die for. And then I had a lot of people who actually worked in Hollywood and won Emmys with PBS and stuff. So it all came together for this phenomenal thing that then got shown on PBS, which went far beyond my expectations. It was only meant for cancer patients. Then it got to be worked with, used for soldiers with PTSD and traumatic brain injury. But then it went nationwide and then, you know, beyond. So once you make a movie, a documentary, there's always the question, are you going to do a sequel? And you know, the joke about documentaries, Kathy, is that they don't make money. They're black holes of your finances. And so I spent a lot of money. The sad part about the whole PBS thing is that I got an agent who got the Earth Songs onto PBS, and then that guy absconded with thousands and thousands of dollars. So what money was to be made, I'll never know, because this guy was a crook and took off. And I did hire lawyers, but they said, "You're chasing good money with bad money, so don't."
Yeah. Well, I want to give if I can interrupt you for a second, I want to really give kudos for this because there's two parts to it. One is a voiceover with Michael York, which is just poetic. His voice is like music. It's just beautiful. And then the other one is it's just with music. And I used to, when I first got this, and I don't know how long I've had it, like at least probably not 10 years, maybe 8 years. I don't know. I used to listen. I used to watch it while I was eating dinner. And there's parts of it that just make me cry. It's so beautiful. I mean, that you just are the music and the pictures, and there's this feeling of going somewhere else and connecting to the nature therapy, which is what interests me a lot about all of this. So I want people to know that PBS or not, this is something you want to have in your collection. And I'm sure the next one you're going to want in your collection too, because the feeling that you get connecting to this is remarkable.
Oh, thanks. I really appreciate you saying
that.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah, well, once the Earth Songs came out, then while I was filming, I was actually doing photography, because sometimes when you film, you just put the camera on and it's kind of like, you hope you get something in 20 minutes, you leave it running, like animals crossing the screen or whatever, because animals don't do auditions. They don't do they don't do any of that kind of stuff. So anyway, while I was filming, I was also photographing, and every chapter in that book is a country I went to film for Earth Songs. And so it's a great photography. I always want to do a photography book, and then I actually was asked to do some articles, some travel articles, and so those became some of the content for the chapters as well. It's a lot of fun. It's a great picture book. Great cover book.
Gorgeous, and it's like it's your living room table book that has all of these amazing pictures in it. And I think the other part of this story that I'd love people to know is that people wanted to know where these places were, but there was no way for you to identify them because it would have broken up the continuity and changed the frequency of what you were offering. So this kind of was a solution for you to be able to share this, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. This thing's wonderful. So tell us a little bit about the new Earth Songs. What I know I've seen some of the pictures you've shared. I saw the Vimeo link, and I wish I'm sure I'll put your link right here to your website. But what's happening with Earth Songs 2?
Well, I'm excited to say it's hopefully to be launched tomorrow. Every time I go in the studio, I think it's gonna be the day we wrap it up, but always just a few more tweaks and things to kind of like perfect. But this one's even better, I think. And one reason why it's better is that I had help. One of my friends, his name is Jake Dingle. He's a phenomenal photographer and videographer. And when he saw what I was doing with Earth Songs, I told him I was going to do a sequel. He said, can I, contribute some stuff? And I would say he probably contributed about a third to the footage. And he's an animal whisperer. He's a bird whisperer. The guy is just he's just an incredible talent with the camera and nature. So when you see a bird up on the screen, most likely it's his.
Oh, really? I thought you were the hummingbird guy now.
Hummingbird's mine, but everything else I think.
Oh, okay. So you have a story about Animal Whisper, even from this video. I think you were trying to get an animal, and you had an American Indian shaman help you, right?
I did, yeah. You want to hear the story? It's pretty funny.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so her name is Michelle Mariscal. Hi, Michelle, if you're out there. She's not Native American, but she definitely has studied with the Native Americans. And she is a shaman, and she said, if you are looking for some help, she knew what I was doing. She goes, I'll be glad to speak to the totem animals and see if I can get them lined up for your filming. So I first wanted to film bears. This is Earth Songs 1. I wanted to film some black bears. And you can go walk in the woods forever and never see a bear. So I thought, okay, I'll call on her for help. So I told her where I was going to go to Yellowstone. And she said, okay, I'll talk to the bear totem and I'll call you back. So she calls back and she says, I talked to the bear totem. They're very excited to be part of this movie. She said, he will meet you where the waters come together. And I said, have you been to Yellowstone? They're everywhere. She said, don't worry, they'll find you. And I'm like, okay. So then I called her about filming for some whales. And then I called her about, I forget what other species I was going for. And finally I called her up, and it must have been a bad day for her. And I said, I'm going to go up to Montana. I got a lead on some felines, a mountain lion and a lynx. I said, can you talk to the animal totems? And she goes, I'm busy. Talk to them yourself. And she hangs up.
Oh, that sounds like a shaman. Anyway.
I'm up in the woods going, here, kitty, 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 kitty.
It's like, as long as it doesn't think you're the dinner. Wow.
I got it. I got to tell you, I got it.
Oh, so we're getting some great participation here, and people are asking where to get your videos. So I'm going to show your website again, and I'll be happy to put it in the comments.
Okay.
And I wanted to share a little bit more about nature therapy, because I was lucky to work on a project down in Denver for 3 years that was a water feature company. And they made stainless steel water walls. Basically, you could do custom, and we put them in spas and hospitals and in senior centers. And the results were remarkable. Just the sound of moving water, changing physiology, because we're so much water. So I got when I saw this work, it was so aligned with what I had already been spending 3 years of my life working on, because it just makes so much sense. People that are sick or highly stressed, they're not spending enough time in nature. And nature is our connection to all that is. It's, for conscious people, it's where most of the awakenings happen. Exactly. Do you agree?
I sure do. I'm a real big fan of ecotherapy, the healing power of nature. That's one reason why I made this movie. And our connection to nature is essential, and so many people are losing that because of technology. And technology is not bad, but I do want to say we need to actually have healthy boundaries and put that down and go outside without a camera, without a cell phone, and just being present with the vibrations of nature, because we are at the same hertz as the planet. And when we get out of sync, then we show real problems with our health.
Right. Right. So as far as the Earth Songs 2, do you have any plans of how you're going to distribute it? Are you mostly going to distribute it on your site, or do you have other plans of how it's going to be shown? Are you going to do showings?
One is I'm going to have it available on the site now. Actually, since Earth Songs 1 came out, now DVDs are kind of passe. Although I do have plenty of DVDs if you want Earth Songs 1. But now we're going to have streaming. So there'll be the full feature-length movie, which is about 1 hour and 15 minutes. But we also broke it up into songs, which I call chapters, and people can actually either purchase or the whole, or rent it, or they streaming, or they can buy a song or rent a song or a chapter as well. And I do have one request. If you do watch this or anything with nature, I took a number of years of a course on bioenergy healing. And the guy's name was Mieczysław Verkus, who's one of my favorite people on the planet. And he taught us how to heal through photographs. And as you may or may not know, the earth is kind of hurting these days. And so I'd like to ask that if you do ever watch this, and this or any other thing like it, it doesn't have to be Earth Songs too, but every now and then take a nice slow deep breath and then send love back to the planet through the photographs to the animals, to the scenery, to the birds, to whatever the case might be, because we are at a critical point on the planet Earth right now. It's no secret. If you're watching this, if you know Kathy, you know what I mean. But if you're watching this, then you are an instrument of change. As St. Francis said, an instrument of peace. So we take in the beauty of nature, but I also want to ask you if you could return some with love and compassion, thought and intention to the planet, because you may have seen the headlines. We're now what is known as the 6th extinction period. We're losing species at a phenomenal rate. And it's just, it breaks my heart. So I know, I believe in the power of love. I believe in the power of energy, the power of intention, and I know I've seen it work. So I know that part of my mission with this is to help heal the planet, which may sound like a huge undertaking, but it's a collective effort. We can all do
Right.
it.
Right. I want to read a couple things that have come through. Elsie Ritzenheim wrote, Kathy gifted me with an Earth Songs DVD when I was recuperating from surgery a couple of years ago. It was colon surgery. I love it. I also want to encourage my own work in nature whenever possible. So there's quite a few comments like that where people are encouraging and giving their testimonial of this beautiful work.
Well, that's
Luke, before we go, I'd love to also have you talk a little bit about these wonderful journey, sacred spiritual healing journeys that you take people to Ireland and to Italy. Would you share a little bit about that
sure.
too?
But first, let me say this, and this may be a private conversation, but I'd love to do a screening of Earth Songs for Earth Day. So
Okay.
get done with this conversation. Let's, call back
Yeah.
up.
Oh, sure, sure. Yeah,
Living room or something.
yeah.
But journeys, I began to take people to Ireland about 10 years ago, and then also to Italy. This year we're going to go to Scotland. But what we do is we go to the sacred sites in Ireland, and Ireland's got a lot of them. Ireland's like the AV node of the Earth's grid, if you will. And there's been a lot of things that have disrupted the grid, the planetary geomancy of this area. So we go there and we do sacred ceremonies. I do some poetry. We have some music. We have some fiddle playing. I tell you a really cool story. Freddie Silva is someone who also does tours there, and some of your followers may know him. I told him we went to this one stone circle, and he said, he goes, there's an incredible deity who guards this circle. She's about 8 feet tall, long blonde hair. She guards a circle. And then the next time we went there, I remember this, but I didn't tell the group until we were done. But we had a psychic on the tour, and she came up to me and she said, there is a woman in this circle who said, thank you for the music. She goes, you wouldn't believe the people that come to Stone Circle and they just take and take and take. And she goes, and you're giving back music. She goes, the gods are very happy.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, wonderful. Yeah, well, you've always been that way. You've always, every time I've heard you tell stories about your sacred journeys, it's stress relief, sacred journeys all over the world, you're always talking about the ceremonies that you do to give back. It's not because everyone else goes to Stonehenge and all these sites, sites that have a memory.
Right.
And taking. So I think what you're doing, I hope that trend continues and that people hear this and start thinking about ways that they could do it in their area as well.
Yeah. This year already booked up, but next year we're going back to Ireland, to County Donegal in Northern Ireland, and there's lots of great places there. So if you have an interest, just contact me through my website there. But Ireland's magical. I'm of Irish heritage, so I'm a little biased, but just keep that in mind. But if you want to hear some incredible music and see the authentic Ireland and help heal the planet, the grid, then this is the tour for you.
Yes, and I want to encourage everyone to connect with you on Facebook and through your site and learn what you can do to make your life less stressful and can reconnect to the beauty that you are and that's available to all of us. Okay. So, Luke, is there any parting words, any final words that you'd like to share?
I want to say thank you, Kathy. Thanks for all you do to make the world a better place.
Oh, sure. My pleasure. I love all you guys, and I'm so glad to introduce you to as many people as possible. This is prime time for us to wake up. And yeah. I mean, honestly, the gift of this for a half an hour every day will change your life. And I assume the second one will be the same, although those will be probably 20 minutes each.
They'll be better. The footage, now we have 4D so that the resolution's better.
Wow.
The connection to the animal world is more powerful this time because of the help. And I will tell you that one of the chapters is I bought some footage for a friend of mine who photographs and videotapes underwater scenes in whales.
Wow.
So what's different about this movie than last one is that I didn't have a great budget last time, and this one probably even less. But I swam with dolphins. I went on top of mountains with mountain goats. I went to see the Aurora Borealis and film that. Uh, just magic, and I brought it all back into Earth Songs 2. So if you want, just Google Earth Songs 2 or go to Vimeo, Earth Songs 2, the Roman numeral 2, and you'll find it there. And the chapters are already there. The whole thing shows up tomorrow in its entirety.
Wonderful. Okay, so I'll see if I can find it and put the link in the comments. And you guys, do yourself a favor, check out what Luke's doing and follow him, because you'll see this. There's a group of us that are been doing this for more than, well, 15, 20 years that are behind the scenes. You don't always know about us. But I know what Luke's doing. He's helping a lot of nurses with stress management. He's teaching classes still. And behind the scenes, there's a lot of things to be grateful and good work happening. So do yourself a favor. And here, I'm going to do this one more time. Go to Luke's site and follow him. I really appreciate you, Luke, and I'd love to see you again soon.
You too. See ya.
Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for following us.